Washington Leadership Academy attendees, we are honored. Please help me to welcome Mr. Pierre Quinn.
Good afternoon, HOSA. Okay, my name is Pierre. On the count of three, I need everybody to say your name. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Now, you know I didn't get any of that, right? But hopefully I'll catch it at the end. So put your hands together if you've had an amazing time so far in DC. These are what I like to call mountaintop moments. They're scenic overlook experiences. As you travel across the country, especially during the mountainous parts of our country, there's something that's called a scenic overlook. And the purpose of a scenic overlook is for you to stop, for you to get out of your car, for you to take in the sights from a higher elevation. And when you're standing there and when you're looking and when you're taking pictures, you get a perspective that you don't get when you're down on the ground. You're able to imagine, you're able to think, you're able to explore the possibilities. But here's the thing, no one lives at the scenic overlook. No one lives at the top of the mountain. The whole purpose of the experience is to widen your perspective and give you some inspiration for your journey. Hopefully that's what these 4 days have been for you. It's been a bit of a vacation. You've done some sightseeing, you've done some touring, you've met some important people, you've had some pretty good food, you've had a good time. You even have taken a huge selfie. Was the selfie cool? And I know some of you are thinking, man, if I could just bottle and channel this energy, if I could just stay here for another 2 weeks, this would be the most incredible experience. But this is not how they designed it. They designed it so that you could be motivated and inspired and connected and take this experience back to the people who don't have the privilege that you have. So as we're coming down off of our mountaintop experience, what can we walk away with? How can we learn to lead like we've never led before? Several years ago, it was the first day of kindergarten for my oldest daughter. And she didn't do pre-K, she didn't do Head Start, she didn't do any of those activities. My wife is a stay-at-home mom whose degree is in elementary education. So she made sure that my oldest daughter was ready for kindergarten. We read all the books, we told all the stories, we talked to the right people. And I'll be honest, the night before the first day of kindergarten, I was more scared than my daughter was. She was consoling me, Daddy, it's going to be okay. Daddy, it'll be fine. Daddy, I'll see you in a couple of hours. And I was scratching my head trying to figure out, how was I going to be okay leaving my oldest child with strangers? Would they take care of her? Would they look out for her? Would they watch over her? I remember that first day of school, my daughter had everything that she needed. She had a brand new backpack, a brand new lunchbox, brand new outfit, brand new shoes, brand new glasses. My wife even combed her hair in a brand new hairstyle. The school is about 3 minutes from our house. We drove around the corner, and she got out to go into the school, and I said, stop, because there's a sign there, and we're taking pictures, and I take about 30 to 40 pictures, and my daughter's looking at me like, Dad, what's your problem? You're just 3 minutes away. But you don't get back your first day of the first day of school, and I wanted to enjoy the entire moment. And the instructions from the school were, when you take your kid inside and you walk them to their classroom, leave them at the door. Don't come inside. Do your hugs in the hallway. We don't need to see you crying over your kid and your kid starts crying. We don't need it. Do all of your business in the hallway. And I remember, and I think my allergies had flared up. or there was some dust in the air, but something caused some water to come down my face when I sent my oldest daughter, Brianna, into her kindergarten classroom. There was a reception in the library for the parents, and I remember feeling comforted because I was sitting in a room with other parents who also had allergy flare-ups. And we were able to comfort each other. And I remember that morning going back home 3 minutes away. We have our youngest daughter with us, and we're settling into our day. There's some things that we have to do around the house. A couple of hours pass, and my phone rings. And it's the school. I don't think anything of it because my daughter had the supplies that she needed. She was appropriately dressed for school. She had an amazing hairstyle. She had a very cute backpack. They couldn't be calling with anything serious. It's probably an announcement. It's probably a welcome message from the principal. I didn't think much of it. I let it go to voicemail. And when the notification came up, I listened to the voicemail. And my world stopped. My wife says, "What's wrong?" I motioned to her, get in the car, I'll explain to you in the car. And that 3-minute drive, we made it in about 30 seconds. As we got to the school, we walk inside and I'm almost shaking because in the voicemail was the voice of my child's kindergarten teacher saying, "Mr. Quinn, we were on the playground. And your daughter walked up to me complaining that she was too hot. And she fainted in my arms." I'm shaking as I walk into the school because I don't know what to expect. But by this time, we go into the nurse's station, and my daughter is alert. She's coherent, but she's visibly shaken. And when she sees me, she runs to me. And she says, "Dad, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for messing up the first day of school." And I say to her, "It's okay, it's okay, it's okay." And I hug her and I squeeze her. And my wife is on the phone with the pediatrician, and we take her to the clinic. And when I walk inside the clinic, the receptionist is gruff. She's not pleasant at all, and I'm having a traumatic experience. My oldest daughter is not feeling good. She collapsed at school. Could you at least be nice to me? And I sit there in the waiting room for what feels like an eternity, and we go to the back, and the intake nurse, she's pleasant, sort of. And we sit inside of the room waiting for the doctor for what seemed like another eternity. And the doctor comes in, and I'm shaken, and my daughter is scared, and my wife is confused, and we explain to her what happened, and the doctor almost dismisses us. Almost waves us off. "Oh, your daughter just got too hot. Oh, she just didn't have enough to eat that morning. Oh, just the emotion of the day caught up to her." And even if that was true, I didn't need to hear it like that. Even if all of those things were true, the only thing that I needed from my physician at the moment was to know that she cared. That was the only thing that mattered. So I'm asking myself, am I the only one that feels this way? Is this the reason why the receptionist is unfriendly? Because the doctor is easily dismissive? Is this the reason why the intake nurse was sort of engaging but not really? Are there other parents who feel this way? Are there other children who feel this way? Now, we don't know who said it. Some people say former President Teddy Roosevelt said it. Some people say leadership guru John Maxwell said it. It doesn't really matter who said it. It's just good advice. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And in that room, I didn't care where my doctor went to school. I didn't care about her net worth. I didn't care about her social circles. The only thing that I needed from my daughter's physician in the moment was to know that she cared. And if you want to be the type of leader that leads transformationally. It doesn't take a huge course. It doesn't take any much advanced training. It doesn't take a far stretch of the imagination to make the biggest difference in the world in which you are called to lead as young people, to make the biggest difference in the world, to be a standout leader. All the leadership books, all the gurus, all the experts, there's a fine line that runs through all of their writing, and they all say, if you want to make the biggest difference in the world, the thing that you have to do is to genuinely care about people. You got to genuinely care about people. So it has to be young people. It has to be where your pursuit of a health profession is more than just about your legacy. Because if a person is hurting, if a person is having a medical challenge, they don't really care how many other doctors are in your family. They don't really care the pedigree or the stock that you come from. The only thing that they really need to know in the moment is that you actually care. It has to get to a point, medical professionals, emerging medical professionals in the room, where your pursuit of a health profession is more than just proving to the world how smart you are. Because when the rubber hits the road and when a life is in balance, I don't really care what your MCAT score was. It has to get to a point for you where it's beyond prestige. And doctors and medical professionals in our society, you get a high amount of prestige. But if my grandmother is dying, I don't care about your prestige. I need to know that you care. It has to get to a point for you where this thing is more than just about a good paycheck. And we give people in the medical profession, sure, we don't pay you guys what you're worth, but the salary in most places is pretty decent. But if someone in my family is sick, you know what I don't care about? The house you live in, the car you drive, the maker of your suit, and the last place that you went on vacation. The only thing that is of concern to me is that when you step into the room to diagnose my loved one, you are giving them all the care and concern that they deserve, as if it was your loved one in the room. Sometimes being in the health profession, there's a tendency to develop a hero complex. A friend of mine, a couple of years ago, works at a major research hospital in the United States. I won't say the name because we're being recorded. But he works at a major research hospital in the United States, and he works as an X-ray technician. And he says from time to time, as an X-ray technician, he gets the opportunity to engage with surgeons, especially when they're reviewing X-rays to go in before they go in for surgery. And he says there have been countless times when I've talked to surgeons after the surgery, and the entire experience has not been about the patient, has not been about the family. The entire experience has been about them. And he said he questions sometimes, even if they care about the people that they're operating on, or if it's just an ego thing for them. He recalls a particularly delicate surgery where the surgeon walks out of the operating room with his hands lifted high, asking for everyone to give him a round of applause for the job that he did, and he questioned the surgeon's heart. If I got a choice between a surgeon that's patting themselves on the back and a surgeon that's shedding a tear because they remember that they have a daughter about my age, I'm going to pick the one that cries, because the one that cries cares. There's a tendency to be heroes because the world creates heroes. That's why some of the highest grossing movies of all time are superhero movies. That's why we still read comic books about them. That's why novels are still written about them. There's an intrigue about superheroes. We appreciate the mystery of Batman, or the otherworldliness of Superman, or the patriotism of Captain America, or the technology of Iron Man. We all have our superhero preferences, and we like superheroes because in the back of our mind, we like knowing that we could just push a button and somebody will come to our rescue. In the back of our mind, sometimes we want to be the person that's viewed as saving the day. In the back of our mind, we like to be engaged as being the person who can do the impossible. But here's what I want to challenge you with. I want to challenge you with the notion that the world does not need more heroes. I say that because when you watch the movies, when you read the comic books, when you read the stories, you notice that heroes have a difficult time being leaders, especially when they have sidekicks. It's never a time where they're training the next person, that they're pouring into the next person, that they're actually imparting their wisdom into someone else. In most cases with the hero story, the story is only about them. And when the hero falls down, if the hero has not prepared anybody else, what happens to the hero's work? Have you really made a difference in life if there is no one to carry on the work that you started? Management guru Peter Drucker puts it like this, that there is no success without a successor. We don't need more heroes. We need more leaders. And my definition of leadership is simply helping other people take steps in the right direction. So no matter what area of health that you're going into, if you're going into biomedical engineering, if you're going into nursing, if you want to be a surgeon, if you want to be a clinical laboratory scientist, if you're going into physical therapy, if you're going into psychology, ultimately, you are not leading initiatives. Here's a news flash. Ultimately, you will not lead programs. Ultimately, you're not leading out in crisis training. Ultimately, you're not leading councils. When it comes down to it, when the rubber hits the road, ultimately, you are leading people. And in order for you to lead people effectively, people have to be able to trust you. And in order for people to trust you, people have to know that you care. So I'm encouraging you not to be the type of person that swoops in to save the day, but to be the type of person who pours into other people so much that you get groups of people ready to come together to brighten the day. I'm encouraging you not to be the type of person who does the impossible, but to be willing to take the entire group of privileges that you have received and share them with someone else so that you can create a whole army of young people who can look at the world and say that nothing is impossible. I'm challenging you to be the type of leader, to be the type of healthcare professional that no one has to question if you care. TK cared. A couple of weeks ago, my wife and I were watching the Olympics. Well, I was watching the Olympics, and she was leaving me alone while I watched the Olympics. And I heard my wife walking through the house. Our house has 3 levels. Many of the houses where we live are built this way. And I heard the sound of my wife coming down the steps, normally. But somewhere along the way, my wife missed a step. And she began to fall down the steps. And she tries to brace herself by sticking out her foot to catch herself. And I hear my wife let out a shriek, cry, scream of desperation. So I run. Whatever's happening on the TV is not that important. I run to where she is, and I asked her a silly question. what happened? As if I did not hear her fall down the stairs. And we get her on the couch, and she says, I think I broke my toe. And I did what most of your patients will do when you engage them in the future before they come to you. I Googled it. And I said, well, maybe if you, my degree is in communication. Well, maybe, sweetheart, if you can wiggle it, it's not broken. Maybe if you can manage the pain. Maybe if it's not swollen, it's not broken. And we let some time go past, and she says, babe, I can't take this pain anymore. I think it's broken. So we drop our 2 daughters off at a friend's house, and we go to the clinic, the urgent care clinic. I walk in the clinic. The receptionist is pleasant. And we're waiting, and we're waiting, and we're waiting. And they finally call my wife's name, and TK meets us at the door. TK's from India, and his name was very long, and he says, my name is long, I'm not going to try to explain my name or how to pronounce my name. I'm just call me TK, and you could clearly see that the letters T and K were in his name. He said, just call me TK, it's fine. And TK was so gentle with my wife, with the intake process, as he took her vitals, as he reviewed her medical history, as he made notes on the chart. I watched as TK reflected the same agony that my wife had on her face when she was explaining the situation. And I thought for a moment, TK, did you break something too? Because he mirrored her emotions in that moment. And then TK walked us to the room where we were waiting for the physician. And the physician came in, and the physician was pleasant. She was nice. She wasn't as nice as TK, but she was nice. And then the nurse that comes in, because it was broken, the nurse that comes in, who buddy tapes the 2 toes together and puts my wife in that stylish shoe with 2 Velcro straps, she was nice as well, but not as nice as TK. And I'm trying to figure out, has TK rubbed off on the clinic? Is the receptionist nice because that's what TK exudes? Is the nurse nice because this technician TK is doing his job so well, and as soon as your name is called, he makes you feel like you belong there? Is the whole clinic transformed because the leadership of TK? I will never forget TK, and no matter what medical environment I go into, I'm hoping, I'm wishing that I find another TK. Because TKs let me know that they care. The world doesn't need more heroes. The world needs more TKs. The world needs more of the type of leaders that this program is preparing you to be. So will you care? Will you care enough to take all of the experiences that you've had over the past 4 days and over the years that you've been in HOSA? Will you care enough not to just let that experience sit on the shelf, but actually put it into practice so that you can be the leader that you were called to be? Will you care? Will you care enough to share your opportunities and resources to a person who does not have your pedigree, who does not have your background, who does not have your socioeconomic status, who does not have your privilege, but pound for pound, they can match you in passion as it comes to changing the world of healthcare? Will you care enough to share your opportunities with them? Will you care? Will you care enough to, when you're in your own practice, when you're at the dentist's office, when you're working with your physical therapy clients, when you're in the lab studying, when you're looking at the microscope, when it's the last blood draw of the day and of your shift, will you care enough to make a connection with a scared dad, with a confused mom, with an afraid little kid? Will you care enough to make a connection with a distraught husband, with an overwhelmed coworker, with a frustrated administrator? Will you care enough to make a difference in their lives? People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And the whole purpose of being here for the last 4 days is so that you could be the leaders that you were called to be. And here is my charge for you, that you rise to the challenge of turning the world right side up because you've accepted the mantle of putting the care back into healthcare. The world needs you to care, and I know you can do it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Quinn. That was absolutely amazing. I think we can all agree on that. And we would like to challenge you to lead like you have truly never led before, and take his story to heart and carry that back home with you. I'm so thankful that I got to share my first WLA with all of you this week. As we reflect back on the past 4 days, I hope that you will realize what all we have done and the leadership qualities that you can carry back home and really put into action. I want you to remember to never lose sight of what the values mean to you, and to do everything with your values in mind. Lead with every intention to be the best leader that you can be. I hope you have cherished this conference and the forever friendships that you have made. When you go back to your teams and you go home today, I want you to remember this. Pick leadership, choose leadership, and love leading, because it's a beautiful day to save lives. I will now bring Angeli to the podium.
Over the course of these past few days, we have created some of the best memories at WLA. From learning as much as possible about how to be an effective leader, to building our HOSA family with officers from around the nation. Every moment has been exciting. Pictures are worth 1,000 words, and National HOSA has created a think back video for you all to relive some of those moments.